Everybody talks about technology today. You have that all, available. But at the end, it's all about connecting to people, talking to people, showing them what you have to offer, one way or the other. It's which people have crossed your path recently, which people do you know because you jump into their bakery or into their store, which are today maybe complete strangers, but at least they have seen you because you were buying bread there, or you went to buy some sodas, or you went to eat in a restaurant. So for me, it's talking to people, connecting to people face to face as quickly as I can, because it's just connecting to people, being friendly, being nice with people. Every store I get in, and people look at me like I'm an alien. Every store I get in, I say, hi, everyone, good morning. And everybody looks at you, who is this guy? Because they don't do that anymore. But I think it's basic kindness and really building rapport, connecting with people, that does the magic.
Welcome to MLM Nation, a podcast of leaders, by leaders, for leaders, hosted by Simon Chan. He's built a team of over 200,000 and is now a full-time MLM coach and trainer. So if you're ready to level up your business, join us now. Let's do this.
MLM Nation, this is Simon Chan. I'm fired up to bring our special guest today, Danny Wanzeele. Danny, are you ready to make it happen?
Simon, I'm happy to be with you on this podcast, my friend.
Danny Wanzeele has over 33 years of network marketing experience and was mentored by legends such as the late Jim Rohn and Larry Thompson. Throughout his career, Danny has built teams of over 250,000 people, has generated over $500 million in sales, and has earned millions in lifetime commissions. He and his wife, Barbara, live out in the Netherlands. So, Danny, welcome to MLM Nation. Take us back to your background, way back. How did you get started in network marketing?
Oh, that's actually a funny story. One day, like so many, I got a call from a person that wasn't even a close friend of mine. I only met him once before. And he said at the time the right words, I suppose, at the perfect moment. Because he said to me, listen, Danny, I met you only once, but I see potential in you. And that was the first time someone said that to me, because I was really a dropout in school. I was a loser. And when somebody says, I see potential in you, I see huge potential. I said, oh, that sounds great. I was living in a small village of 900 people on the countryside where everybody knows everybody. And I don't think many people were thinking that way about me at the time, because I had been thrown away most of the chances I got from my parents to study. I didn't do well. I didn't have a degree. Then finally, I had to take a really bad job to get along in life. And actually, the first person that called me about network marketing was that guy, and I joined. It was that simple.
And how old were you then, and what type of job were you doing?
I was 26 at the time, and I was working at the government. I was actually a mailman in Brussels, in the capital of Belgium. And being a mailman, well, I think most people know that it wasn't a well-paid job. In Belgium, actually, when you didn't have a degree at that time, well, you could get two jobs. It was digging holes for the telecom companies where they were still putting the cables in the ground. There was no Wi-Fi, there was no wireless. Or you could go distribute the mail into the mailboxes without a diploma, a degree. So I choose that one because my father used to have a really good career in the postal services of Belgium. And it was actually the first time he said, why don't you try that? And I listened for the first time to him because I was quite a rebel before. And I said, yeah, why not? So I joined the post office.
So this was back in 1990, 33 years ago.
Yeah, well, I joined the post offices 5 years prior to that.
Right.
Like most, there was still a military service at the time. I had to do my military service when I stopped studying. And then when I got called to do the job, I was getting 21. So it was in 86 that I joined, 86, 87 that I joined that job, that I did that job. And finally, I got started in network marketing in 1992. That was 5 years later.
So how did you do when you got started in network marketing, your first couple of weeks?
Well, the first meeting was actually dramatic in a certain way. I got on a call with this person that wanted to invite me to come to a meeting and show me the business. And it was, the first meeting of a famous weight loss company in that they were coming to Belgium, not yet officially open. But he said to me that the meeting would happen in Brussels. And I was working in Brussels and I hated every day taking the train to Brussels. So going back in the night when I was home after my job, going back again to Brussels in the night for a meeting wasn't, the fun part of it. But at the end, I said, okay, I'll do it. But it was in the middle of the city of Brussels and it was really bad weather. And I was driving with my car and you need to find a parking space. And when I finally got soaking wet in my only suit I had, because I had actually to wear my wedding suit. It was the only suit I had to go to that meeting. And I got into that meeting soaking wet. Well, it was in French. He didn't tell me that. And I didn't speak French at the time. So when the people started to talk in French, I looked at him and I said, hey, what's happening here? I'm not going to translate that in Dutch, in Netherlands. And he said, well, I didn't know that neither. I thought they were going to do French, maybe English. Apparently, it's only a French-speaking meeting. I said, I don't understand anything. He said, don't worry. We'll get it figured out later on. So I sat like really annoyed, almost an hour listening to something I didn't understand. But at the end of the meeting, it was on a flip chart, as you might remember those days. The paper and the crayon on the flip chart. They wrote down the income they were making monthly. And I could read numbers. They didn't have to explain anything. The problem was I didn't believe it, that they could make that kind of money. But at the end, we took the time to go forward and to ask the speakers some questions. Somebody was translating, and I was sold because I had never seen anybody making that kind of money. I never actually heard anybody making that kind of money, and definitely not with the products and the business model I saw. So that was my first, meeting, the first time I got exposed to network marketing. And it became from being chaotic, dramatic, very negative attitude from myself, sitting there with crossed arms. It turned out to be, life-changing event and a life-changing decision afterwards.
You said you didn't believe the income they were making, but after you talked to them, then you changed. What did they say, or what did you see that made you change your attitude?
Their check. It was quite funny. I was so, I thought like so many, they were paid actors, just telling a story there. And it sounded so great. But, since I didn't catch the French, when I was starting to ask the questions, the things they told me sounded so great. It was like you said, if it sounds too good to be true, it must be untrue. I was from that opinion. But I said to the person in front, and he was at that time the number one income earner in that company in Europe. I said, well, if you can show me your income check, if you can show it to me that you made that kind of money, I'm in. And if you can teach me to make that kind of check you are earning, I'm doubling. So what he did, he showed me his check, his income check. And I was blown away because back those days, as you might also remember, we were paid on checks, bank checks, from the company with a signature on it, with the amount on the little, left on the little right square on the top. You saw the amount. And I saw the copy of the check and I said, wow, this must be true.
Yeah. I think, I just realized it's so much harder to do it now, right? Because everything's digital and then you have Photoshop, everything can be fake. But back then, a check, you're right. I forgot. You actually got a check from your company. There was no direct deposit. Your company will give you a check, your paycheck.
They sent it by the mail. Mine was $28, my first check. It wasn't the kind of check you would become, overwhelming positive about, but it was the first check I got in my life besides a paycheck on my job. And because my job was so badly paid, even the $28, I never had a check in dollars. It sounded exciting. I said, oh my God, I need to have more of these checks coming in, in the future. But today, like you're saying, everything can be tricked or copied or falsified. That's the more difficult part. But in terms of the business, of course, it's a new world today. Everything digital, everything, streaming on the internet. Communication goes so fast. Back those days, well, that didn't happen, as you know. No mobile phones, no internet. Brochures were almost photocopies, Xerox copies. It was a different time.
So let me ask you this. I think a lot of people listening or watching this will struggle with this. So they say they are new and they never had experience and they don't have a check to show people. So how can you convince people to join if you don't have any results yet?
Well, I think at the end, what I learned in my career, and I learned that pretty early on, listening to Jim Rohn and Larry Thompson, is that people are mainly the same everywhere. If you think about it and you ask the right questions to people, they will say yes every time. And I use it often in my trainings. If you would give people the option, if you could choose and you're in charge and you could choose to be beautiful or ugly, what would you choose? Well, people would say, of course, beautiful. Okay, if you could choose between being stupid or intelligent, what would you choose? Being intelligent, of course. If you could choose to be free or living in under a dictatorship, what would you choose? I would choose to be free. Okay, if you could choose to be sick or healthy, what would you choose? Healthy, of course. If you could choose to be successful or a loser, what would you choose? Successful. If you could choose to have money or no money, what would you choose? Money, of course. So, but because often being successful and money as associated as owning your own business, because the only way today, well, let's say that changed also a little bit, but back those days, the only way to make serious money were company owners, independent people that own the business. And, success is associated with money. I don't consider that being successful is just money. You could be really a housewife that raises the 4 kids while the husband goes working and brings in the money. And for me, you're a successful woman. You're raising your family. So it's not always about money. But back those days, I saw quickly that actually most people are like me. Now, the only thing that is different, what are they willing to sacrifice to get those things done and to get grip of those things? And I was 26. I think I was on a turning point in my life where I was making money as a football player, as a soccer player, and that made up at the end of the month, not being completely unhappy. But I knew that, an active soccer career wasn't going to stay another 20 years. So I was already in my head thinking on what could I do that would replace soccer once I don't make money anymore with that because my salary is too low. And I really looked at people as looking in the mirror. What was I looking for? And the other thing that I learned is that when people come to see you, when you're talking to people, and I like still the old kind of approach. First we do, or we drink a coffee or we meet up if we can, if we live close. Now it's about Zoom, first do a Zoom camera call. And I like to talk to people person to person, face to face, looking into the eyes. Well, you need to know that most people, when they come to talk to you because they show an interest, they mainly come because they are interested in 4 things. Otherwise, they wouldn't take the opportunity. First thing is, are you a nice person? Are you nice? Would they be willing to work with you? Because they definitely don't want another boss. If they have a job, they don't want another jefe, like we say in Spanish. That's not what they're looking for. They're looking for a nice person that they really could blend in with. The second thing when they come to look at you is, are you trustworthy? Do they feel you are a trustworthy person? Because today, especially with everything what is going on also in our industry, people got scammed, got frauded at least one time, if not several times. They lost money. And when they're looking at an opportunity, they want to see somebody they could trust. The third thing they're looking for is, are you a professional? Do you know what you're doing? Are you really somebody that knows what he's talking about, that knows the profession, that knows your product or services you're working with? Are you a professional? Because, if tomorrow you would need open heart surgery, imagine you would need open heart surgery. You're not going to go to the first doctor in the street, neither. You're going to check out, you're going to ask 2-3 people, who can you recommend? Who is the best of the best of the best? Well, that's how people actually see you. If they need to take a life-changing decision, if they need to sacrifice things, they want to do it with the person that can bring that to them. And the fourth thing is, like in the movie with Tom Cruise and Cuba Gooding Jr., show me the money. They want to know if you can show them the money, how to make the money they need or they want, or they desire. So if those 4 things are taken care of, today is the same as 32 years ago, 33 years ago. Everybody, I think actually today, with what happened the last 3 years, 2 years and a half with the pandemic, we saw a new world. And I think also because so many people lost their jobs, their security, businesses went bankrupt, that more people now are looking for an extra income or a replacement income than 10 years ago, by the way. We have these economic ups and downs. We know it since every decade it exists, but it has never, to my knowledge and my opinion, in the time I'm around here, 35 years working, well, I have never seen it so bad as today. But I see the positive point of that. I see that we can help a lot of people with network marketing.
You said the 4 things: nice person, being a trustworthy, professional, and show me the money. So what happens if someone's new and they're not that professional yet because they're still learning, they don't have the skills, and then obviously they haven't made any money? So what do you recommend? Do you just recommend them bring them to an upline or?
Yep, absolutely. Absolutely. Like we're doing today, we're doing a Zoom, you can connect everybody with everybody. This morning, I connected one of my friends that joined my business today. He was a top guy in the first company I was in, way better than me. And we lost track. But then a couple of years, 6-7 years ago, we found each other back and we kept in touch. He didn't recruit me in a business. I didn't recruit him. But this morning, I just brought him on a phone call with one of the general directors of in our company in a certain country. It was in India. And I said, listen, he is thinking on moving to India, maybe doing a new business there, and maybe looking for a new MLM company, which he could really sacrifice and focus on over there. And I said, listen, you know me. I cannot tell you anything new that you haven't already heard from me as friends. But what I will do is I will connect you with our general manager of India. And he will explain you exactly the situation that is there. So that's one example. If it's a new person that just gets started in the business, like we have every week now, well, I always tell them, the first month, the first 2 months, we're going to work like Siamese twins. I'm there for you. Just tell me whenever we need to set up a call, a 3-way call or a Zoom or a presentation, I'm in. You can book my agenda, every bank space that is open. When you book it, I will be there to help you. And I'll help them on calls. And it's not because people also had experience that they don't need their upline. I'm working with my upline, who is also a good friend and somebody. He says, by the way, hello to you. When he heard that was going to be on your podcast, Sven, he said, say hello to Simon. But, we're on the phone almost every day. He's just checking up with me. He doesn't just rely on my experience and the career I built to become successful in the new company I joined just recently. No, he is there to help me because he's in longer. He knows already more than I do in this company. He knows more than I do about this compensation plan. And that's the right attitude. That's how you need to be with everybody.
Yeah. And I think people like to join community and teams, right? So the more people you bring along, the more people introduce, that increases that, what you said, the trustworthiness, right? Because anyone can do something by themselves, but the more people you bring on, then increases the trust factor.
Absolutely.
Hey, going back to your journey, what was a turning point in your business where something clicked and then you really started? Because you said you made $28. So what was the point where you started, I got this, and things really start taking off?
I joined towards the end of the month, and I made $28 in royalties, but I made much more in indirect sales. And at that time, you might remember, when you were selling to an end user, you had the whole margin. When you were selling, when your distributors were taking products, but less than you were taking, you had the difference, So I made a lot more in my first month than the $28. But for me, it was, they told me to qualify for an event. And I had no experience. I joined, if I remember well, it was 21 or the 22nd of May in 1992. I joined that company. And they said, Danny, you need to do everything to be in Paris next month. There's a huge event. The owner is coming to Paris. Some top speakers, doctors are coming to Paris. You need to qualify to go to that event. I had no idea what a qualification was. I said, well, you need to do so many points to be there. My first stupid thing was, why don't they come to Brussels? Why do I need to go to Paris? Why is the event in Paris? Can't they do one in Brussels? So that was my logic thinking at the time. And then I said, but oh my God, the qualification level is so high. How can you just even think that I would do that, as a new person? And they said, well, you can do that. You can often do more than you think. So we started going. 9 days to go. And we ended up doing 3-4 times the requirement and volume that was needed. I actually qualified for, I remember it well, a garden party in one of those famous French chateaus where we had a VIP dinner with the owner, with Jim Rohn, with, Larry Thompson, as you said. They came flying in with a helicopter. And I was so, blown away by that. First of all, I had never been in a French chateau, not to eat anyway, visiting is something else. But then the next day was the first day of the training. And I was sitting in the room with 7,000 people in the center of Paris. And this guy came on, an older speaker, and everybody knows him, Jim Rohn came on, and he started to talk. And everybody was paying attention. And I was sitting there with my notepad, trying to note. And as soon as he started to talk, I really thought he was speaking to me. Because everything he was saying was like, my God, this guy knows me. He's talking about all the stupidities you can do in life. That was me. He said about all the things you should do, but you didn't. That was me. And first, I thought it was like a candid camera program. I thought my friends were, playing with me because I started to look left and right. Were they looking at me? Because this guy, it was like he was briefed and telling the story of Danny in front of 7,000 people. And he got into my mind. And when I came out there, I said, I need to change something. My decision was taken. Jim Rohn was the one that switched the button in my head, that blew me away, that grabbed me completely. And from that day on, never anything was the same anymore. It was completely life-changing. So for me, the thing that changed was meeting Jim Rohn, sitting in the audience and listening to him for more than an hour. It was magical, completely magical.
Yeah, I know Jim Rohn was a mentor of mine. For things to change, you must change, right? So what's one thing that you had to change? Maybe your thinking or your habits. What did you immediately change right after that event?
Everything. To be honest, everything. Actually, you said one of my favorite quotes, for things to change, you need to change. For things to get better, you need to get better. And the one that he added during that trainings was, if you don't like how things are, change it. You're not a tree. And I thought, what a stupid expression. But when I started to think about it, I said, but he's right. I should change things. If I don't like things, I need to change it. I don't need to expect people to change because, when you're doing a job, to be honest, what are you doing? You're doing just enough these days. And that time too, you're just doing enough to not get fired and to pick up your check every month. And an employee, that's the mentality. But an employer just pays you enough so you shouldn't quit. So that was the mentality from everybody. You didn't put in an extra minute on the job, and an employer would never pay you an extra $1 per hour as long as he didn't need to. So I knew if things needed to change, I needed to change it. And I said, this is my chance. Network marketing is really my chance. I didn't understand the concept yet. When I spoke to my family, everybody thought I was nuts. My father first was the first one because he said to me, go to work for the government. You're settled for life. If you don't do a big mistake, you can never get fired. You're going to have a good retirement 40 years from now. Look at me. I did well, which is true. And I really respect and admire my father for what he did. But that wasn't the road I wanted to walk on. I didn't want to have a good retirement 40 years later. I was thinking on having a life. I could not go on holidays most of the years. Once a year, that was the maximum, because we didn't have the money to go on holidays. And I wanted to travel. And I said, this is my chance, this network marketing thing. But when you explain it to people and you have to go back, 33 years when network marketing wasn't that known yet. There were not so many companies as today. Only the big ones were in Belgium, the big top 5. The rest, nobody knew about it. Well, when I explained what I was going to do to my parents, they thought I lost it. He's mental. So I took the decision pretty rapidly. After being in Paris, after I had heard Jim Rohn speak, I said, I need to quit my job as quickly as possible because I'm losing time there. I just need to make sure that I have my income as quickly as possible, replaced. So my first goal was, when I came back from Paris, how much do I need to make to survive? So I don't need to go to my job anymore. How can I get to that? And I made a plan. And I got help from my uplines. I got help from the top leaders in the company who did trainings. And it was just pure mathematics, and then put in your daily routine. Your daily method of operation is one of the things that becomes the most important for everybody, because what I learned from Jim Rohn and from other people was like, you need to treat it in the beginning like a job. You need to, be in at 7 or 8 in the morning like you would do with your job. You need to work every minute you can, perform, and not think, oh, now that I'm free, now that I don't have a boss anymore, and I'm not on the clock anymore, oh, I can do whatever I want, because that's the mistake many people make. So I did in a lot of hard work the first months and the first year. I can tell you the little thing that we used to do, the 10 contacts a day, I did them minimum every single day, 10 contacts for more than a year. Some people said, my God, where do you find 10 contacts? Well, go outside on the street. We were doing cold prospecting. We were doing everything, ringing the bell if it needed, going to the doorsteps of people. So it's about your why. It's about how hard do you want it? How fast do you want it? And not looking for excuses anymore.
Very, very inspirational. This is my favorite question. I'm really fascinated because you have so many years of experience. In your 33 years, what is your worst moment in network marketing? To the point that most people will quit, but you didn't quit. And that's why you're the leader you are.
Well, there have been great moments, and there have been in 33 years several bad moments. It's always a carousel, up and down like a roller coaster. But the worst moment so far in my career must have been the last previous experience, which happened to me a couple of months ago. After working for so many years together with people that I trusted, that I considered to be a family, and then finding out that they actually were lying to me, cheating on me, almost, putting sticks into the wheels so we wouldn't succeed anymore. Well, it was such an overwhelming feeling of disgust that came to me. And when I remember, I've only been in 3-4 companies in 33 years. I'm not a person that jumps from one opportunity to the other. I'm very loyal. I'm very trustworthy. I put my teeth in something. I want to go to the top. I'm like a pit bull. It's not, when is the question? No, it's I will make the how happening. And it's only in terms of time I will get there. But I left the first company because I was disgusted with some of the attitudes of the leaders. It was too much fake it until you make it. They were pretending to be friends, but, backstage, they were almost knocking each other out. I saw that, own experience. The owner's story wasn't really the truthful story neither. I saw a different owner than most people on stage. And, even if I was still at that time making a lot of money, I left the company because I was disgusted. And I didn't want to feel that every single day saying, oh, I need to go out and tell a story that of which I know it's not true. And I'm not proud about it anymore. So I left. The second company, I left because the owners lied in my face. I was the number one income earner at the time in Europe in that company. I brought the company to Europe, who built an enormous business. And after 7-8 years, there was a fight between the owners. There was a lot going on behind the scenes that most people didn't know. I found out a few things because I spent a month in the United States, working in the company, in the head office. And I heard and I catch some rumors, and which I shouldn't. But asking about what was going on in the company to some of the owners, I gave them the opportunity to tell me the truth, and they lied. And I said, how can I continue to work with people that lie in my face? How can I say on stage they're the greatest owners in the world? They're so trustworthy people when I know they lie to me. So I said, this is going to be game over for me. And in my last company, well, both things came together. I was disgusted and they lied. So there was only one way, was looking for something else. And I didn't want to quit the industry because, it goes through your mind. And I speak to a lot of leaders that had a burnout. We're all been there. Few years, it goes less. And you don't want to do the recruiting anymore and the selling anymore and the trainings anymore. You just want to pick up your check and take profit of what you did before. But as you know, sometimes it keeps going down then. And you're confronted with the reality that it's not really residual income because you didn't build it big enough at that time. And I didn't want to quit the industry. So it came to my mind, what now? What am I going to do now? What would be a great company? What would be a great opportunity? And I have a built for my own a due diligence list that a couple of points that for me needs to be present when I look at, a company, when I really dig into it. And when I find it, well, then I say, or pretty close, because I don't say that every company I look at has all the ingredients or qualities I'm looking for. But if it comes close, I say, well, now it's time to talk to the people and see what we can do. But, the industry of network marketing is so beautiful. Even the lies, the manipulations, the cheating, whatever that is going on sometimes, don't let it, get you away from what this industry is. Don't let it steal your dreams because, there's always something else you can do. Maybe your first company is the best ever. I know people that got involved in my business in the first company. They were in my downline and they're still in that company and they are happy there. And I'm happy for them. But sometimes you need to do 2-3 companies before you find the right one. It depends on what you're looking for, what you're expecting, and also, of course, what you're getting in return. So for me, the industry is so beautiful. I'm a forefighter, as you know, of the industry. I'm fighting against everything that are scams that are around, even publicly, sometimes on websites and on blogs, because I think, we should really protect our industry. And I'm happy you are one of the guys with your podcast and with your trainings and everything you do. You're also a forefighter and a protector of the industry because it's a beautiful industry. And it really offers the people the possibility to change their life. It sounds so great that some people don't actually believe it anymore when you talk to them, but it does. There's thousands, gazillions of thousands of stories of people that change their life because of network marketing.
Definitely. Yeah, I think if you're listening to this and you hear about these owners lying to Danny, but that's in every industry, whether it's in education or within finance or real estate, right? Whatever, or technology, that happens. But at the end of the day, like Danny says, it is an awesome industry for the average person, for someone who's like a mailman to living the life you have now. It's incredible. I could talk to you forever, my friend. I love your stories, but we got to wrap it up. But some really quick questions to pick your brain. Okay. And you can answer these in 1 or 2 sentences. First one is, what is one of your favorite quotes that motivates you? I know we talked about Jim Rohn, but do you have another one?
Yeah, no. It was really, the one that you said, that's the one that always stick with me. And the one that is related to that one, if you don't like how things are in life, change it. You're not a tree. It's a little bit of sarcasm, but you see it in front of you. Yeah, a tree is fixed. It can't move. I can move. I can do things. So for me, it was like those words talked to me and I had to laugh about it. But I said, yeah, it's true, man. Why not? So that quote got to me profoundly from Jim Rohn. Change it. You're not a tree.
What is one habit that's helped you become successful?
Talking to people. I every single day, in all honesty, every single day, I need to talk to 3, 4, 5, up to 8 or 10 new people. Every single day. If I'm talking to 3 new people a day, it's because I have been doing follow-up with 4, 5, 6 people that I had been in contact with, and I need to do the follow-up. But if I don't need to do a day too much follow-up, I'm looking for new people to talk to. Besides talking to your own teams, besides talking to your first lines and working with them. But every single day, there is not a day that goes by that I don't try to prospect people. Not a single day.
What's the best piece of advice you ever received?
Oh, well, I must say that I got a lot of great advice from people. And you mentioned Larry Thompson. It's also the best advice is you need to look at it as a profession, as a profession. If you want to make a lot of money in this industry, you need to be a professional. You need to play Champions League football. You need to play, in Madison Square Garden, the US Open, the final. If you treat it like, fun, an extra thing, like a hobby, you're going to stay an amateur. And amateurs don't get paid too much, or even they add money. They pay money to be involved. So I see a lot of people that grow from being an amateur in the beginning to becoming a professional because they finally realize, hey man, I'm spending money every month to become successful. I don't make money, but maybe it's also because I don't treat it like a serious business. And I learned it from a guy in America who was a top income earner in Amway. And I hope you're not blaming me for mentioning Amway. It's not my company, but Amway is one of the big ones that, paved the way for most companies to come. And one of the top income earners in Amway said one day in a training, you need to treat it like a business. And I got it. I said, yeah, it's a business.
What's your favorite prospecting tool? So say you have a qualified prospect. Do you like to meet them in person, or do you hop on Zoom, or do you like to meet for coffee face-to-face? What's your first choice?
My first choice would be to meet them. And if we can't meet face-to-face, it's going to definitely be a Zoom or a WhatsApp call, is speak on the phone. I send them a lot of videos these days as well, because most company now have videos. We have our own training system platform. We created funnels and lead capture pages and all those things, which I didn't have 33 years ago. And you don't need it when you're new in the business and you want to work. That's just because, today you need to put everything that is possible out there to catch as many people that you can. There is so many competition that you need to talk to people as quickly as possible. And of course, tools help. Online tools help, a YouTube channel, your website, that helps. But has a website or an online video the capacity to convince people like you could when you're sitting in front of them face to face? Not with my experience. Of course, when somebody's new who doesn't have the experience, well, use as many of the tools you can, or use your upline.
What's your favorite app on your phone that's not a social media app?
Oh, I think it's my banking app.
There you go. I like that.
To look at my income when it comes in.
Hey, what? Out of almost 800 interviews, you're the first person that said a banking app. I love that. Hey, what are 2 or 3 books you could recommend?
I have one. I have one here lined. It's one of the books, because all my books are in the living room. I have a closet of books, but I would talk about one. Everybody. No, well, I have 2 books here next to me. Everybody talks about the obvious ones. The Richest Man in Babylon. Think and Grow Rich. That were actually the first books I read that Jim Rohn recommended me. But back in 1992, I found a book in a bookstore. Before jumping on an airplane, that really helped me a lot. And it's such a funny book. It's this one, Being Happy. Being Happy from Andrew Matthews. And it's not a network marketing book, but inside, it helps you with your confidence. It helps you to feel more secure in a funny way. And it's a fantastic book. And it's with, it's with some really funny, sarcastic jokes inside. This is one. And the second one, which I'm reading now and I'm studying now, is The Blue Ocean Strategy.
Yes.
I love this book, and also our training platform is completely based on the principles of that book, The Blue Ocean Strategy. And I believe that's the way to go. I believe really in the kind of marketing in a positive way that this book is talking about. So if I would recommend two books, it would be those ones to people.
I love it. They're very not the typical answers. Same books. I got to check out the one of Being Happy. I've actually never read that before. And Blue Ocean was really helpful for me when I expanded in Malaysia. That was very, very good for me. Here's the last question. We're down to the end. The $1 million question. Are you ready?
I can't see what it could be.
So, Danny, imagine you had to start all over again and you knew no one. You didn't know your wife, didn't know anyone. Your contact list was zero, but you had all your current knowledge, skills, and wisdom. What's the first thing you do or the first place you go to find prospects and build a network marketing business from scratch?
I would go back to the basics. Everybody talks about technology today. You have that all, available. But at the end, it's all about connecting to people, talking to people, showing them what you have to offer, one way or the other. It's which people have crossed your path recently, which people do you know because you jump into their bakery or into their store, which are today maybe complete strangers, but at least they have seen you because you were buying bread there, or you went to buy some sodas, or you went to eat in a restaurant. So for me, it's talking to people, connecting to people face to face as quickly as I can. Everybody talks about the name list, but very few people work their name list like they should. I never ask my people to put 150 names on a piece of paper. What I do with new people is give me 8 names of people that would love to try the product. Think about it quickly. Give me 8 names of people that are looking for an extra income or to change career or want to make more money. And then today, of course, with social media, give me 8 names of people you talk regularly to on social media, but you don't really know each other. You haven't met in real life. That's 24 names. And I work those the first 3 days. I have a 72-hour plan to work those 24 names and to get at least a few customers and a few serious prospects out for the business. Because if you can show a new person, and that's why you need to go back to those basics yourself if you're getting restarted. If you can show a new person within the first 72 hours that he can earn money on selling a product, and he has at least one person that wants to join his business, you have them. They see this could work for them. So it means prospecting, presenting, training, and duplicating. And I'm serious. You could drop me off in any village in the economical world. I wouldn't say in the middle of Africa where there is no electricity, but you could drop me off in any village of the world that has access to phone, internet, and of course, a little bit of lifestyle. I tell you, within a week, I will have new customers and new distributors to sign up because it's just connecting to people, being friendly, being nice with people. Every store I get in, and people look at me like I'm an alien. Every store I get in, I say, hi, everyone, good morning. And everybody looks at you, who is this guy? Because they don't do that anymore. But I think it's basic kindness and really building rapport, connecting with people that does the magic.
Awesome. As we wrap up, any last words or advice? And then what's the best way our listeners can connect with you, Danny?
I'm on social media, of course, Simon. I have a Facebook private page where I share family things, but I also have a Facebook fan page where I really share a lot of tricks and ideas about network marketing. It's a neutral page, my fan page. It's not about my company. It's about network marketing and helping other people out. So, and I have an Instagram account, but I have a website. I have a phone. Everybody can find me. If you type in my name on Facebook or on the internet, you will get to me, and I will connect with you as soon as I can.
And any last advice?
Oh, well, I would say grab everything which you can to learn from. What I learned, and I often come back to Jim Rohn, because he made such a difference in my life. Jim Rohn used to say, the books you don't read won't help. And that's the reality. If you want to get rich today, or you want to learn a technique, you find everything in the library. Every book out there has been written already. You just need to go and grab it and read it. And now it's even easier. You just go on YouTube or you go on Google and you type in what you want to learn on ChatGPT. You type in what you want to learn and you find videos from people all over the world that will train you. They're not in your company. You never met them, and they will train you. And your platform, by the way, is one of those great examples. When we spoke the other day, I started to scroll between all the 700 podcasts that you have been doing over the years. And I think the last week alone, I listened to 10 of them. I looked at some of the big names and I said, oh my God, Simon spoke to this guy. I need to hear it. I need to learn from it. And from every speaker that is on your podcast, you will pick one or two ideas that will be helpful for the business you're in today. So, it's grabbing what you can and learning as much as you can.
Hey, ML Nation, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. And today you may hang out with a legend, Danny Wanzeele. So keep up the momentum and go to mlmnation.com, go to the podcast app and the show notes and the links to Danny's Instagram, Facebook. Definitely follow him, connect with him. We'll be right there. Hey, in order to be successful in life, in business, and in network marketing, you must help others. So, Danny, thanks again for sharing your valuable time with ML Nation. We're grateful to you, and we appreciate you for having a positive impact on millions of distributors worldwide. Thank you so much again, and God bless you.
Thank you for having me, Simon. Thank you very much, and good luck, everyone.
Hey, everyone, it's Simon Chan. We'll recap from a great show from Danny Wanzeele. I love these leaders. I think you all know this if you heard me following me for a while. It's like these guys are all great storytellers, right? You have to work on the storytelling. Facts tell, but stories sell, and keeping those stories memorable. Like talking about, instead of just talking about like his turning point was going to that meeting in Paris, he talked about the French chateau. He had to qualify for it. He didn't think he can do it. Right. And I like the quote he said, like, people, you can always do things. You'll make it. Like a lot of times we feel like we can't do it. You can often do more than you think. That's the quote. And that was awesome, right? We can often do more than we think. And if you don't believe that, stop giving you excuses why you can't and come up with excuses why you can't. A lot of great stuff. You know what? People only interested in 4 things when they meet you. And that's so true, even with social media, right? 4 things. It's like, are you a nice person? Are you trustworthy? Are you professional? And show me the money. And that's why it's so important to be consistent on social media nowadays, showing up every day, sharing what you've learned, leveraging your team, right? If you're new and stuff, do the 3-way call, 3-way chats. Those are really, really important. I love this quote. This is more of an old school quote, is I saw potential in you, right? Hey, I see a lot of potential in you. It works because there's a lot of people who no one's ever said that to them. But once they hear that opens their mind up. And that's what got Danny interested in the business. 10 contacts a day. That's the DMO, right? We have different versions of DMO. You have my DMO. But at the end of the day, the business is about how many people you connect with. And someone like Danny, he says every day, even now, 3 to 5 people. 3 to 5 people. Sometimes even more than that, because once you stop talking, stop networking, that's the end of the business. You're in management mode. You're not presenting. That's the end of it. And Danny, I know he just recently got started, but he's got enough. He doesn't need to go out and prospect, but he does because he knows it's the personal production that gets you to where you are. Treat it as a job, not as a hobby, like a profession. Be the best you can in this profession, and it'll pay you that. If you treat it like a hobby, it'll pay you a hobby income. Also, there's so many good nuggets here about Jim Rohn, right? He was a mentor of mine, also mentor of Danny. In order for things to change, you must change. So that's what I'm going to leave with you, right? What are things you need to change? Because if you don't change, you're going to keep getting to your current reality. What you've had in your life, you're going to keep getting that. It's not going to get any better unless you change. And it could be changing habits, changing thinking, changing the way you are. What do you have to change? Anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. And these interviews, these are not free. It took a lot of Danny's time, especially he's in massive production mode right now. Same for me as well. It took me a lot of time to do these. So please, the only thing I ask is subscribe to us on the YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on your favorite podcast player. That means a lot. And leave us a review. I read all those reviews. I appreciate you. Anyway, thank you so much. Go to the MLNation.com. On the show notes page, you see the links to Danny's social media. Follow him, connect with him. He will chat with you. Trust me, he will. And thanks for listening. Go out there, take action now. Ask yourself, what do you need to change so that you can have a positive impact? Hey, God bless. Thank you for listening. Go out there and make it happen.